Hello, hello. We are live. It is a Friday. We made it through the week. I'm so excited. My sister's graduation is this weekend, so I will be going down to see her graduate. She graduated last summer, but of course the pandemic canceled that, so celebrating in 2021. But hopefully all of you have had a good week and have got some awesome weekend plans. So let's see if I can go ahead and get him on and then get started. Like always. Hello.
Hey, hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad that it's Friday and I'm done with the week.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is technically midweek for me, so yeah, but I feel you. Congrats on the weekend.
It's bad because like the office I work in, like everyone else in the other part of the building, they don't get weekends off. So they're like, "Oh, well, have a good weekend." I'm like, "Okay, bye."
You're like, bye. Thanks, Janet. Um, that's how was your week so far, though?
It was busy. A lot of things kind of bounced up on my plate. So, like, my car insurance ended yesterday. Uh, the oil in my car light went off, and I have to drive this weekend. So I was like, I need to get all of this taken care of, like, right now.
Like, you shouldn't even be in the car right now without insurance. As I call the police, I'm just like,
As I'm arrested on live, that's fine.
you know. That's good. I mean, so get that taken care of for sure. I know we were just kind of chatting before. Really interesting stuff you had going on with the whole house and all that good stuff.
Uh, yeah, this is my coffee for staying awake because didn't get any sleep last night, that's for sure.
I think I like drink coffee now for like just the taste of it. You know what I mean? I remember being like 10 and my grandma's like, here, have some coffee. And so I can't say caffeine really does it for me anymore, but it's definitely an accessory.
I, I've had to switch it up a bit. Like I was starting to get to the point where when I was drinking energy drinks, like I could drink them at like 9 o'clock at night and then pass out at 9:30.
Hmm.
So coffee with lots of espresso in it seems to keep me at least functional. I definitely kind of took a little bit of a nap on my lunch break today. I like laid my head on my desk and I woke up, had like a big red circle here. It was
I love
cute.
that. It's like school naps and like work naps are just the most wonderful things. Like it's just like it's sleep that I've never had in my life before. Whenever I just
Yeah.
kind of like lay down on this cold hard desk and somehow, but then my wonderful mattress and all this stuff, I'm like tossing and turning all night. So
Yeah.
good for you. Well, it sounds like a successful week so far.
Most definitely. One of the most successful weeks of the year. So,
Mm, there you go.
well,
So yeah,
I will let you go ahead and kind of introduce yourselves so people kind of know who you are since this will
sure.
be saved on my page, and then we can just jump right into a discussion.
Yeah. Well, hi, everyone tuning in. My name's Christopher Clark. Um, just a normal guy in LA, living the dream. But
Oh,
yeah,
I tend to be doing lives with people from the West Coast this week. I think that everyone I did a live with was on the West Coast,
mm,
and someone invited me to go hiking in one of the lives, and I was like, "Oh yeah, and your dirt hills that you have out there."
yeah, literally. I mean, it's just dusty as hell out here at all times. I mean, real dusty. But
Yeah,
okay, Mr. Rolling Green Hills of wherever you are.
uh, it's beautiful. I know at one point you were like in the mountains because you were like inviting me to go to like a campfire or something out in the mountains, and your story had like beautiful greenery. So where were you when
Yeah.
you did that?
So I think I was probably at my great grandmother's house. So she's actually it's the mountains but the desert at the same time. So if you're familiar with Southern California, you have Big Bear up in the San Bernardino Mountains, and then if you were to go like just barely down on the desert side of the mountain, there's my grandma's house, like just chilling. And so yeah, so I let's see, like just to back up a little bit, in March of 2020, I moved back out there to take care of her. I had just been laid off because of COVID. I worked in travel, and so we were the first like industry to be cut.
Yeah.
And so I took that time, I took that opportunity to really just kind of go back home. Um, I kept my apartment here in LA, which was cool. So I had a place to kind of come on the weekends to not see friends. Yeah, so I went out there, and to touch on the bonfire, so to speak, she has this giant cast iron like cauldron that I used to like pretend I was a witch, but it was actually for like soap making back in the day. And so yeah, I turned it into this really like nifty fire pit, and you know, with a couple lanterns and a couple Instagram filters, it became this boho chic moment, right?
That's how we
So
do it. We
yeah,
make our lives look so enticing sometimes with a filter.
absolutely. And you know what? And I'm okay with that. So just
Sometimes
like,
you
you
gotta
know,
glam it up.
yeah. Yeah.
So, so are you originally from like the LA area, or is that some place that you moved as an adult?
So, well, I'm from Southern California. Well, I was, to really be technical, I was born in the Bay Area, just outside of San Francisco. And then when I was like one, my mom and I moved to the Mojave Desert, which we're literally next door to my great grandparents. They had bought the house next door to them for my mom and I to live in. Um, and so the town technically is Lucerne Valley, but it's part of like the whole, like you have Yucca Valley and Landers and Joshua Tree. They're all kind of like in that area. Um, and so, yeah, desert, born and raised, really, that's what I consider. And then when I was 18, right after high school, is when I moved to LA. So that was 2008. Oh, and so I've been in LA like now coming up on, what is that, like 13 years? Um, yeah, and it's been, you know what, to be completely honest, I love Southern California. I love the LA area. I love the history of LA. Um, but especially recently, I don't know if it's going to be home like forever, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Then I see your pictures with these rolling green hills and this eternal filter when there's nothing done to the photo. And I'm like, hmm.
It's pretty nice over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I left for a while and I came back and I think I forgot to appreciate it when I was younger, and then it took kind of going away and not having the beautiful mountains and not
Hmm.
having visibility to like the stars, because that's probably my favorite part, because people ask me all the
Yeah.
time like, why, how could you live in the middle of nowhere with no cell phone service, no internet? And I'm like, you look up at the stars at night and it's just
And
like,
it makes sense. It makes
that's
sense.
the college right there. So I mean I'm moving to Richmond, which is not anywhere close to like LA in size, but it
Oh,
is a
I was
city.
like, no, you're right. It's not close, but in size. Sorry, go
But
ahead.
like I I'm deciding to kind of move back to the city because I, as an adult, and someone who's trying to be an entrepreneur and make connections and have professional connections and meet
Mhm.
people who can actually help me do what I want to do in life,
Mhm.
I'm start to realize that the city is pretty important for that.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that. But I made sure my apartment complex was like on a trail, so like it's connected to like a nature trail. So
Is that like
when
a
I need to
filter
move
on like
out,
apartments.com? Do you just put in that filter like I must be connected to a dirt trail?
yes.
I
Here
love
in the
it.
country, it's just like you. It's like country boy. Yes. Put me
Hmm.
somewhere where I'm not going to be in a concrete city.
I feel you. To kind of touch on that. I mean, I definitely growing up out in the middle of my town, for instance, had I think 3,000 like 200 people in the entire town. Now it's like up to 5,000, but I just didn't like it. I was like, oh, I want to get out of here. I need to go. Like, ugh, the desert, the brown. And now going back and spending this like last summer, especially just out there and just reconnecting with like my roots and reconnecting with the desert itself was transformative.
Yeah.
It completely, um, it harbored a whole world of creativity and self-love and self-appreciation, and it just sort of like was the catalyst for all those things. And so I am so happy I did it. Would I move back to Lucerne Valley, California? I can't say that I would, but I definitely, it was great.
Yeah, it's so interesting because like we were kind of talking about this yesterday's live as well, where for me personally, I'm very torn because where I live, it's not very LGBT friendly.
Mm,
But all the things that I'm really passionate about and like the hobbies that I have, like tie so much into the fact that I did grow up in the country. And for me, like when I moved to the city, a lot of like the gay people that I was like meeting, when I
mm.
suggested, let's go on a hike, let's go camping, let's go kayaking, they're like, ew. And I
Yeah,
was like,
right.
no.
Mm,
I was just like, it sucks because like you can't really find LGBT people out in the rural areas without using apps, and I'm not a huge fan of those, but it's kind of the
same.
way to meet other people. But then when I go to the city, I didn't grow up there, and the things that I enjoy can't really be found in the city. Like I love traveling, I love
Mm,
exploring new things, I love trying new food,
mm.
but that gets really old really fast for me in the cities, and I'm just
How
like,
so,
oh,
though? I mean, how so? Yeah, I feel like there's always something new to try, like a restaurant or.
yeah, I feel like for me personally, like over time it starts to become the same thing. I'm not a
Mm,
really big food person. Like I will eat food to keep myself alive and healthy, but
yeah,
like I'm not going to go spend like $400 on a plate where I'm like, I could have just gotten a dollar burger or something.
totally. That same. It's like, rent or this foie gras something or other, and I'm like, pass.
Yeah.
But okay, that makes sense.
I can enjoy that type of stuff, but for me, like the mountains, they never seem to get old. Like I can go on the same hiking trail like every other weekend, and I am fascinated by it every single time.
Mm,
And I personally, I grew out of the like going out to the clubs and stuff like
mm,
that very quickly because as soon as I came out, I was in a relationship,
mm,
and I didn't ever really go to the club to meet people because I was already taken, and I enjoyed dancing. I do it very badly, but
mm.
that's but I mean, it was a phase, and now I just feel like I tried to go out to one in North Carolina once with my friends when I went to visit them, and I felt like I was an old man surrounded by like lots of little children, and I was just like, okay,
Mm.
I'm not having fun.
Right? You're like whippersnappers, like get off my lawn.
It's
I feel that. Yeah, and I think too with the whole pandemic last year, like I've tried going back out to the bars since they've been, well, the bars that are left here in LA. I mean, WeHo has been like, what, West Hollywood, for those that are not familiar with the term, has been like decimated. Um, and I just didn't enjoy it. I think that I reconnected with things that I actually truly love and didn't realize that I loved. You know what I mean? Like nature, for instance, or as recently like candle making and soap making and all these like really like things that I would never even have thought of exploring up until recently. And then going to the bar and going to like hearing the same like yes clap fan thing, and I'm just like, okay, well I'm not even gonna finish this drink. It's been nice seeing everyone, and So yeah, I definitely feel that it's almost like a progression, like in life, and I think it's an exciting feeling, if anything. So
yeah. I've been, I don't know if you've jumped into the Clubhouse app yet, but it's
is
like
that
a audio social media app. It came out at a perfect time. It's like when for people to connect in large rooms and you get to
okay?
like have conversations. But one of the rooms was like, what do we want to see like post pandemic? Like, what do we want to see change? And
Mm,
I was like, it would be nice if there was some places to meet gay people during the daytime because I feel like the only places where gays like gather is like the club life at nighttime. And I was like, it would be nice to have spaces where like we celebrated like gay art and like gay
Yeah.
culture in a way that's not us hiding in the shadows from the rest of the world, because I feel like gay clubs were like that sanctuary and hiding space for gays to be able to be gay in public without the scrutiny of the rest of the world.
Hmm.
But they never changed when the world started to become more accepting of our community. And it would be kind of nice to see more open spaces where we could maybe explore some of our hobbies and stuff like that, instead
Absolutely.
of always being, let's go get drunk.
Yeah, right. Like parks can be used for like things other than hooking up. And you know what I mean? Like that whole like vibe of it. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And on that note too, especially this culture that we've sort of created with like the dating apps, if you want to call them that, and stuff, where it's sort of like just this meaningless interaction, right? So you could be like, yeah, like we could meet up for coffee, or yeah, we could go do this, but it's like the end goal. It's like this conclusion that is expected, is so detrimental to the experience of actually meeting someone. And like, it's okay to just like, for instance, I don't personally have Grindr and stuff, but and there's nothing wrong with it. No judgment. I just much like you, like I've been in a relationship for most of most of my life. But so no, but it's you know, there's almost like this anti-normal hangout kind of thing that gays sort of, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like sexpectation, and if you're not there to hook up, then they sort of ostracize, they alienate you, really, right? And so yeah, I definitely agree with you. We need more daytime activities, as you would say, like come out of our crypts and come into the light, like you know, some potting classes maybe. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that it's something. I mean, the way that we currently connect, there's not a really great way to have a conversation at a club, because you're like
no,
getting really close to each other's faces and screaming so that you can hear, and then you're like, you know what? No thanks.
you're like
It's not
what?
worth trying. And then like most of the time, it's like people start pairing off by the end of the night before you can go somewhere and have food and talk. So for me, it would just kind of be nice. I am the type of person where I make it very apparent that I'm looking for relationship communication. And
Hmm.
it's funny how much that is something that scares people in
Hmm.
this day and age. And I don't want to say it's just our community, because I feel like the social media and the dating apps have made everyone's lives a little bit harder, because
True.
like when we were young, like when you start dating people, you dated people in your city. Now people are like, well, I've got 30 matches in the city next over here, and over here I've got quite a few as well. And
Mykonos, I have one. Like so.
I was going on a date with someone here, and he cut things off with me because he was talking to someone in Denver. And of course, that never worked out. But that's the mentality a lot of people are having. They're like, oh, I've got this better connection with someone on the other side of the world. And I'm like,
Right. No, or just like a better connection as a whole. It's like there this drive to always find the next best thing, right? Instead of focusing on what is right there in front of you in that moment. Mindfulness. Um,
yeah.
it's just so frustrating. It really is frustrating. So I feel you on that.
I definitely think that the next best thing is something that people are always worried about. Like for me, like I was in a relationship and I was just like, this is the one. This is
Hmm.
this is the person I'm with. And like I was proudly stating that. And when people would hit on us, I was like, oh, thank you so much. I definitely do love him. And it's very interesting because like I was in a long-term 5-year relationship when like Grinder and all of that stuff came out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, all my friends are so crazy getting on this app. And then
Hmm.
like when I got broken up with and realized how hard it was to find people, I was just like, wow. So I tried the app and I was just like, ooh, no thank you. I don't
Well,
know if
now
I
let me
could
ask,
do this.
how long after the breakup, did you even start getting on the apps? Like, what was you know what I'm saying? Because I was like recently kind of broken up with, and so I'm just like the idea of it just sort of is like stomach churning. You know,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So,
Well, see, for me, it was quite a while because
mm,
I actually moved states after my breakup because it was a very intense breakup for me because
okay.
it was he cheated on me with my best friend. So that was two gay people that I just wanted nothing to do with. So I
I'm so
moved to
sorry.
Florida, and in Florida, I was kind of like, someone actually told me, they're like, you're kind of a bitch. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I've always been such a people pleaser. It's like, because I wouldn't dance with people. Like, I went to the clubs with my friends and I danced with my girlfriends because I
Mhm.
was just done with gay guys.
Yeah.
So I I took time to just be myself and have fun with my friends because I missed that. Because when I got into like the relationship thing, I almost like left my friends in the dust, and
Mhm.
I lost a lot of friends because I did that.
Mhm.
And I started realizing that after my breakup, those people were the ones that were going to be there for me.
Mhm.
So I started rekindling my relationship with my friends and just having fun. And I never really appreciated how people kind of talked to me like I was just a piece of meat. So
Yeah.
I I was just like, I was not impressed by anyone, and I didn't really get on the dating app until I moved back to Maryland after
Mhm.
Florida. So I was off the apps for quite a bit before I started dating again because I I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna meet someone organically.
Yeah. Right. Isn't that the dream?
So I've gotten to the point now where I feel like what I'm doing with like my positive talks and all the stuff that I'm doing for like activism, I'm hoping that I will meet someone who's just as passionate about that
I love
type of
it.
stuff. Because when I get on the dating apps, I'm not very impressed with the
No.
conversations. I've made a couple friends from the dating apps, but I've just not been impressed. I think that I was in another clubhouse room where they were talking about the apps where they are built to be addictive, not built for you to find a partner. Like
Right.
they say that on Tinder when you're swiping right and left, that 70% of the time you are sitting there swiping right and left, and then the rest of that is you actually having conversations with the people you've matched with. So it's created to be an addictive like app to where
Yeah.
even once you find a person, like you still have that addiction to want to swipe.
Right. And it's like, but honestly, and even in a broader sense, like, how are you going to know off of like one photo? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh my
I,
gosh, yeah.
I don't, like I said, I don't have the apps, but like when I did have Tinder, like I was always so torn. I'm like, do I swipe right or swipe left? And it's like the pressure and the anxiety because I'm like, but what if they're really cool? And like, but oh, what if this is just a bad photo? And so, you know, I like my preference would be to obviously like meet someone like at a bar or something. I like to. I have in the past enjoyed going to bars like by myself, like a little dive bar or something, and just getting a drink and posting up and just kind of just being in that moment and feeling the energy. And it's so funny, like when a gay guy walks into a bar by themselves and to get a drink, everyone's like, "Oh my god, like what's going on?" And it becomes this whole story. And then I'm over here thinking, like, I wonder what they think my day was like, like you know.
Oh,
And so, but I've actually met some of the most incredible people that way, and that, as my definition of meeting someone organically, right? It just happens.
yeah.
Um, that's how my last boyfriend, we were together for almost 4 years, and we met that way at a bar, very much. Well, kind of. He was working at the bar, and I was drunk, but um, and it was for sometimes incredible, sometimes not so incredible years. And yeah, so I feel you on that. Well, to that note, good luck.
Yeah. I mean, for me here, it's very interesting because, like, when I lived in the big cities, like, I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in a couple of the cities down in Florida, I would go out and I could just observe. Like, I
Hmm.
could just participate and I could approach people. And I love how Alex said people don't know how to socially interact in person anymore, which is so true.
Hmm.
I do. I've gotten pretty
I
good
can.
at it. But I, in the towns I live in here, even Richmond, which is the capital of Virginia, um, I don't like that I can become the center of attention very quickly because
Mm,
I don't like that in
right.
person. I'm the type of person that likes to find a small group to communicate with, and I'll be
Hmm.
goofy and silly with my friends. But like here in Roanoke, here, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, when anything like LGBT is happening, uh, it's such a small group of people, and I don't really like associate with everyone to um, where everyone else has intermingled already. Uh,
Hmm.
Everyone kind of looks when I come in, and then I'm just like awkward, and I kind of miss being able to just like go somewhere and not be recognized and just watch how other people interact and then approach people that I'm interested in approaching instead of
Right.
being approached. I think that that's what I prefer is I like to be the one that gets to approach somebody.
Well, I'm never, ever the one to approach somebody. I am just like, start sweating profusely, and I'm just like, hi. There's like a booger in my nose, probably. Like, it's just all the wrong things happen at that moment. So I have learned to just sort of like step back, and I like to think of myself as a healthy balance between introvert and extrovert, right?
Yeah.
Extrovert when I need to be, never in social settings though, and so it's done me well, I guess, but it's also been a hindrance for sure. And the good thing, I guess, or not the good thing, a thing about LA is that everyone is that big personality, right? So it's easy for someone that's just super dorky and quirky like me to just kind of blend into the background and chill out that way. So yeah, definitely the approachee, not the approacher.
Yeah, I
Uh,
definitely it's interesting because for me personally, like I just find it interesting because now because I do so much LGBT stuff, like my people recognize me and my
mhm.
friends don't like that when we go out. But the first time someone approached me in DC and recognized me because of my social media stuff, like I pretended not to be me. I was just like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." It's
That's not
because
me.
I'm so awkward when other people approach me. And then also, like, I don't think people realize that you might watch all of my lives, you might have watched all my YouTube videos and really feel like you know me, but I don't know you. And when you approach so aggressively to me, like, it makes me so awkward and I become like this, just like weird, like, mm, I
Like
shut down and like, I don't know what to do.
lizard creature of what like it's like that's funny.
So,
Um, that's funny. I mean, I think in fact through Instagram, and kind of tying in with the whole dating app thing, I've gotten so many messages, people that are like, "Are you on Grinder?" or like, "Are you on this?" Because someone has used my photos many
or
times, and like this, like for instance, this poor guy was basically in this cyber relationship with what he thought was me for like almost 5 months, and finally like got the common sense to reach out to me on a different platform, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, that's not me. And so he was sending me all the chats, and I'm just like, wow. And see, I try to like not stand out like that, and so to know that there's still creepers out there that are like catfishing and all that good, so whatever fishing, it's just sort of like makes me want to be even less of an extrovert because I'm just like, oh god, you know what I mean. I just
yeah.
start posting like Amish like photos, like completely dressed and just completely, so no one will want to take them.
Oh, that's
But
good. They're still gonna take your pictures, sorry, but
Jesus.
there's one of me that he lives in Guadalajara, and his name is Ian Spencer, and he
Mm.
updates his pictures as quickly as I do on my Instagram. Like as soon as I post a new one, his profile picture is different, but like the little caption under his picture is "Be yourself."
Mm.
It's just like
Love that
because
authenticness.
that was just like out of everything you could have put as a quote underneath of my picture on Ian Spencer's page,
Doesn't
it's
it
"Be
kind of
yourself."
doesn't it boil your blood a bit though? Like, don't you? I'm just like, oh, I just want to go to Guadalajara and string it.
I, the thing that worries me most about it is just like how many people that person's probably hurting.
Yeah.
I personally have been catfished by people to where I now like you. If you think I'm going to hold a conversation with you, there's going to be some type of Snapchat, video chat, so that I know right from the beginning that you're who you say you are. Otherwise, I'm not interested in talking to you. Because I mean, I've had people send me pictures of my friends,
Oh,
and
that's weird.
they're sitting there talking to me, and then I send them a picture of me and my friend, and I'm like, you might want to like make sure you're not flirting with that person's actual friend before
Yeah.
you use pictures.
Do a little, just a quick like little like friend search, a little like background, research would really go far. And my whole thing is, it's like, well, what is the end goal for them, right? Like, you can never meet anyone in person. Like, do they just get off on like setting up meetings? Because then it's like, go be an assistant somewhere. You'd kill it. Like, just set up meetings and that's it. I don't know.
I
It's
think it,
weird.
I think it's really bad because I think at some point they don't think that they're good enough to get like people to talk to them on dating apps. So they use other people's pictures to have conversations, but I don't think they realize how they're destroying their own self-worth by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're sitting there thinking, well, if I looked like this person's pictures that I'm using, these people would treat me with respect. And I'm just like, no, like use your own, and people
Mm-hmm.
that would actually talk to you and form a relationship with you would actually like show
Value.
up in your life.
Yeah, and it's like, and no one's gonna respect you because when you use like photos, if it's just treating us like a piece of meat is sort of what you said earlier. It's like, so there's not even respect for us, like,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, no, I feel you. That's unfortunate. Well, to Spencer in Guadalajara, hola, we're coming for you.
Hello, I know you
Hello.
exist. My twin brother. We take the same pictures. It's great.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, I mean, what have you? I did want to really ask, like, did you start any like cool projects or anything during the pandemic? Like, what was your like? I'm sure you have, because I've sort of, since we started really like chatting more and more, I kind of did a little peek into your life. But yeah,
Do
I mean,
some
is there anything?
research. Like
Yeah.
you have to write your book report.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly felt like the positive talks have become like a huge thing for me. I've been offered things that I never thought were even possible for me living in the middle of nowhere, from different companies. I've been talking with HBO for a series that they're creating, which is really cool.
Wow.
Not allowed to talk about a lot of stuff because they make you
Yeah.
silence yourself. But um, there was also another thing that like a Netflix series that they're thinking about doing with like um, it was like a celebrity gives advice to other people, and I would have
Hmm.
been the other people, not the celebrity.
Not
But
yet.
those types of things have been popping up just because of the content I've been putting out. But I also was starting to like gather coaching clients, and I got to the point where I actually had to start turning people away because I also was working a corporate job, and I didn't have enough hours in the day to actually
Hmm.
coach all the people that wanted to work with me. So I've been putting a lot of effort into turning that into my full-time business.
Hmm.
I've been doing tons of reading on how to turn content creating into a profitable thing as well. So
Is that the book
I,
title? Like, how to?
yeah, it was like YouTube for dummies. It was great.
Mhm. Definitely could use that.
I told my sister, I was like, yeah, they've got a book here that says social media for dummies, and maybe I can get that and learn something. And
Mm-hmm.
I picked it up. It was not useful for me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've just been using it to like really connect with people that are just different than me and that I've admired from afar. And I'm just like, if we're going to be virtual, we might as well just be like connecting and getting to know people on deeper levels. So like
Absolutely.
these positive talks, I feel like have gotten to the point where great conversations are had. Whereas before, I felt like when people would talk to me, it was just like, hey, how are you? Good. Conversation
And
finished.
that was it.
3 months later, hey, how are you? And I'm like, it wasn't any good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's first off, congrats on the HBO thing, and I hope that that materializes into something cool, really cool for you. That's awesome. I, uh, I, yeah, they say the whole quarantine thing. I mean, I quarantined, but I was not like sitting on the couch watching, which that's totally fine if that was your gig for the year. But like I said earlier, I moved back out to the desert to take care of my great grandma. I was there I was laid off March 8th and I moved back like March 13th, right? And then I was there all the way until the end of September. So during that time, I just decided that what it was really for me was I was so kind of hurt how my corporate job working in travel could just let me go so like unceremoniously. And I get it, right? Like I get the whole pandemic, I get the budgeting, but like I made them a lot of money and
Yeah.
and like they pulled me from my other job to come work for them, and it was this whole like pomp and circumstance thing, whatever. And so then it was just an email like, hi, you're gone. And I was just so like kind of devastated. It was like a breakup, right? I mean, hello. I was out here running the whole West Coast by myself. And so um, I just decided for myself that I didn't want to work for anyone else. I'm tired of making other people money. And that's like this rat race, right? They dangle, ooh, you get a raise, or oh, we'll give you some benefits. But it's like, no, you should be giving that to me anyway, just because I chose to work for you, right? Like, that's a whole other conversation. But people need to start valuing themselves here in the workplace. Like you are an asset to them. Demand more. But so I moved back in with my grandma, and I took this project called Sacred Society that I had been working on like on the back burner for about 2 years. And I just decided to really like just jump into it. I created an LLC, and I just spent the entire summer learning how to make handcrafted soap and distill my own essential oils and make candles. And I started building relationships with vendors and suppliers and creating this sustainable cause-driven brand, right? So that's the key for me, was that it's cause-driven. So just to briefly kind of go into it, like, very briefly, each candle is like created around a different issue in our society. And so then I donate 10% of every sale to a partnering underfunded charity, keyword underfunded, right? Not the breast cancer foundations of the world, which bless them in their work, but I wanted to target the struggling ones, so to speak, or ones that maybe weren't as well known. And so, but within that candle, that specific candle, the ingredients and the communities where I source the ingredients are all things like that. They are impacted by whatever that issue is that we're sort of addressing. And so it just sort of took off, and it was great because at my grandma's house, like, what are we going to do? Watch Jeopardy and drink Pepsi all day. So, there's really no distractions. And I converted her old shed. She had an old like hobby shed that she would do rock polishing and stuff in. And I cleaned that out. I'm sorry. I hired someone to clean that out because I'm terrified of insects, and there's God knows what was in there. And I converted it into this little like apothecary workshop, and I just started making things, and I started creating this brand that I love. Now it's my child, and although we are, I say we because I finally have my first employee, so I can say we now. We
Love it.
have been delaying the launch. Kind of just there was a lot of issues with sourcing certain ingredients and stuff because of the pandemic, um, and I don't want to water down or cheapen the brand's integrity. So anyway, we're getting there. But it just was this wonderful project that it helped me through every bad thing that happened last year. For instance, like my mom died in August of last year. I that just devastated me. Like it can just completely. I didn't eat. I couldn't drink water. I couldn't do anything except just. I just shut down, you know. And
Yeah.
so really just kind of focusing on getting through that grieving process but refocusing on the brand itself just kind of pulled me through that. When I say, yeah, so I guess when I say 2020 was a big year, it was a big year, and it's still turning out to be a big year this year. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes like when it comes to those types of like grievings, like I
Mm,
mean losing a job, especially one that you feel like I mean you gave everything to it. Like
mhm,
I in that same boat right now, like my company just downsized, cut 350 of us, and I definitely feel that pain where you're just like, wow, I gave you so much. Like
yeah, it's a
so
breakup.
I just like, ouch. So I that's what I was doing as well. Like before I took this job, I wanted to do my life coaching, but I was
Mhm,
still scared to take that jump. But with
mhm,
this job that I just lost, like it gave me like the confidence that I needed to be like, you know what, I've got this. And you know what? The only person that's going to fire me is myself if I don't work hard because
mhm,
it's nice to know like I'm going to put all of my effort into it and see where it takes me. And if I fail and I get to pick myself back up and still keep
mhm.
going. It's
Right.
not in someone else's control, and I'm definitely excited about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely glad that you found a productive way to kind of pull yourself out of like the grief that you were going through. Because
Oh, totally. And that's key, right? Like it's finding things that bring you joy. Like and not, you know, what like joy in in the rawest form, right? Like deep down, what just makes you happy and just do it. And for me, it's honestly it's helping people and it's letting people know that like there's someone out there that cares. I do care. Like I genuinely care about people so much. Um, and it is now in the form of handcrafted artisan soaps and candles. So you
yeah,
know, I think it's cool.
I I absolutely love the fact that like you're putting causes with them because I think that
Mhm.
that is something that we need to be a little bit more aware of in the world.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for us as consumers to be looking at businesses that are actually doing stuff like that versus
Mhm.
the ones that are just mass producing for profit.
Right.
Find because we're at a reset right now. There's going to be companies that
Yeah.
come out of this pandemic, and there's going to be companies that got left behind in 2020 when the pandemic started.
Right.
And I think being more aware of who we're purchasing products from, who we're supporting, I personally have started doing so much research into like if there's two gas stations side by side, like even if this one's like 5 cents cheaper, like if that one's like anti-LGBT and this one's
Oh yeah.
pro-LGBT, I'm like, you know what, 5 cents, let's go, because
Right.
if one's going to get shut down, I want it to be the one that doesn't stand up for my rights because those big companies fund political things, they fund
Absolutely.
community. So I'm like, you know what? For Christmas presents, I went out and I was like looking at all my friends' businesses that they had and were trying to get started during the pandemic. And I was like,
Hmm.
this year, Christmas presents are coming from whatever business I can find that's going to
Right.
support my friends because
Yeah.
got the presents still, but now one of my friends is also benefiting because they're getting profit for their business. And I think that that's
Absolutely.
super important. And then I think people also need to realize that if you don't have money, it is so easy to hit that share button just share it with your community of
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
and help your friends out. Like, be like, my friend just started a candle business. This is so awesome. And they're attached to different charities, and share.
Hmm.
You don't have to pay
Yeah.
anything, and it's free.
Instead of asking for a discount, just share. You know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But it's like,
Oh,
yeah. But no, I feel you, and on that point, and when I was doing my like market research and everything, I mean, my business plan alone was like almost 40 pages, like of just research that I did over the course of like a year, and definitely like the trends and everything, like this new generation, Gen Z, that is developing into like, you know, having jobs and making their own money and buying things for themselves, right? They are extremely like conscious about where their money is going. And that's like, you know, millennials like to like make fun of Gen Z a lot and stuff, but they're actually a really kind of woke generation in that sense. Like they want to support things that matter. And so these like big businesses and these companies that are just profit, 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 even the ones that, you know, slap on, well, we give 1% to a charity every quarter. It's like, okay, that's like $10. Like, you know what I mean? Those that mask themselves as charitable, I think that it's a reckoning. It really is a reckoning. Um, and definitely agree with you, you know, support small businesses. They're the ones that are in the communities that are affected by whatever. They're the ones that know their community best, and just give someone a chance, right? Like give these small businesses a chance to survive. I was so heartbroken last year when I would just hear about, oh, this restaurant that's family owned for 30 years had to shut down, or you know, whatever it is, and it just was like so sad because here I am just starting, right? Like just starting, and it's like, oh God, you know. But
yeah.
yeah, so I definitely feel that. Support small businesses. Ching-ching.
Yeah, my granddad, because like my family was like farming. That's what my family was before my granddad became a doctor. And so like I was always preached to make sure you're supporting your local farmers, make sure you're doing
Mhm.
that. So like whenever there was like farmers selling their produce, like I would purchase it from them instead of going to Walmart or Target.
Mhm.
And then I actually, with my friends, started because our generation and younger are very tech savvy compared to the generations above us.
Mhm.
And I started reaching out to small businesses in the area that didn't have websites, that didn't have social platforms. And I was offering my service to help them like create
Build.
those types of things
Okay.
because I was seeing like places like Best Buy, Walmart, Target just push all the small businesses out of our town. And at the end of the day, like that doesn't help our community. That makes someone in another big city rich, and it
Mhm.
takes the money out of our community
Right.
because Target's not spending its money in any of these communities.
No.
Like
No.
they're, they're gonna spruce up whatever Target they need to spruce up next. And I think that the more people realize that and become aware of it, and I mean, it's interesting to see all the things that our parents' generation told us we couldn't do.
Mhm.
Now, how literally people are getting paid to play video games online.
Right.
And they're making a
Right.
living
Or
from it.
to smoke marijuana, like they're like, try out this strain or whatever they call it. You know what I mean? And they get paid for that. I love it. So I feel that.
And I love how social media has given us the impact to take that power away from like the Hollywood of the world. Like, I think Hollywood will always play some type of role in movies, but I'm loving to see that now we get to decide what talent rises to the top.
Mhm.
But we also have to be aware that that's what we're doing. So we want to make sure that we're not sharing people that are hateful
Mhm.
because algorithms are speaking for
Mhm.
us. And a lot of times when something bad happens, people will share that person's bad page or bad
Mhm.
post instead of posting like the example I always use is like when Harry Styles did the Vogue photo where he was like wearing like a dress and
Mhm.
everyone was sharing the hateful people's comments and being like, oh my God, look how hateful these people are. And I was like, let's turn it around and let's post, congratulations, Vogue. Great job, Harry, for stepping out of the gender norm and
Hmm.
moving us towards a more open-minded future, and share
Absolutely.
that and boost those people to the top, because the more hate we're sharing, we're giving those people a platform and a space to have a voice over communities, and they
Right.
don't need.
Absolutely. And it's the algorithm, I mean, in that note, it's like the algorithms are designed to entrap, I feel, right? Like they're designed to create this like habitual, just like constant recycling of the same thing. And so, like you said, I mean, it's uplifting and and even to that point where we sort of create our own celebrity now, like we decide. I mean, sometimes it's been for the good and sometimes it's like not turned out so well. But I think though that giving us a in a, what am I trying to say? It's almost as if like everyone has a platform now. Like everyone has that ability, and so we as a society, it is our obligation to uplift people that need it, right? And so that means boosting someone that like may not have as many likes or may not have as much of a reach or something, rather than the same like YouTube Red star or whatever YouTube Red is, I don't even know, but whatever that is, like those same people over and over again, and it's just everyone should have a chance and have access to that. So yeah, no, definitely. And I forgot what I was going to say too. It was back a couple points ago, but anyway, we'll move on.
So to kind of go off of what you were saying with YouTube Red, since I do get paid by YouTube, it's funny. I was telling my grandmother how I get paid through YouTube, and I was explaining to her the difference between like ad revenue versus YouTube Red revenue. And my grandmother started going around and telling all of her friends to look her grandson up on RedTube instead
Oh
of
my god.
YouTube. She was like, yeah, he's famous on RedTube. And I was like, what did you just say? And she's like, the RedTube, the place where you make your videos. And I was like, oh no,
Grandma.
don't tell people to type that in their computer. But like to think that she was so proud and telling people that, I'm like, I really hope there's not someone named Drummond on RedTube and they don't know what I look like and they're like, wow, she's a really proud grandmother.
Right?
So
He's
open
quite the
minded.
star.
So I was just
Wow.
like, please. I was like, YouTube Red is like a paid subscription. I was like, it's just YouTube. Just tell people I'm on YouTube. That's all you need to say.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's YouTube Red? I was like, is that like some AIDS awareness thing I don't know about? Like, or something? I don't know. Yeah, I tell you, I can't even update my phone successfully. So it's always like error or some weird thing will happen, and I'm just like, it's fine. It'll get through it. Yeah, it'll
It
make it through.
always fixes itself.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's really cool. So you were busy and I was busy, and hopefully everyone used last year as sort of like a opportunity to rediscover themselves and to reconnect with maybe a part of themselves that they turned off or disconnected with. That would be my hope for the world.
Yeah, most definitely. Do you feel like if you were to go back and talk to like your 12-year-old or 15-year-old self, that he would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool that you're where you're at in life right now."
I think at my 12-year-old self, I was such a brat and like such a just little asshole. Sorry for the language. That I'd be like, I'm sorry, who are you? Like, no. But I think that yes, because I lacked a father figure pretty much my entire life. And yeah, it wasn't until last year that I found my biological father, and he's an asshole. So I think that having that be able to see myself in the future that I'm okay, would be rewarding. And it's almost like I would look at myself as a mentor. Like, what do I need to do to achieve this, or even more, right? Like, seize more of an opportunity, so to speak. Yeah.
I love that. I always tell people I feel like the work that I'm doing in the world, like when I'm doing everything that I'm doing, it's almost like I'm being the adult that I felt like my little self needed,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they weren't doing what I needed. And
Right.
so for me, I'm out doing work and trying to get the message across to younger generations about stereotypes and believing in yourself and self-love,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes, because I wish I could go back to my high school self and just be like, tell them you're gay, because lots of them already knew, and you literally
Mm-hmm.
were making yourself miserable because you thought you were hiding it well. You weren't. And
Mm-hmm.
you missed out on opportunities to really be there for people. And it's crazy how many people I've reconnected with moving back to Virginia and found out that we were all struggling in high
Yeah.
school. We were all having our own rough moments, looking at each other's lives, being envious and jealous of other people's like
Mm-hmm.
picture perfect life that they were presenting.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, because people were talking to me and they're like, you were so lucky. You and your sisters were just so close. And like as a kid, I was just like, oh my God, I don't have any friends. I've only got my sisters. And people were jealous of that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I was kind of lucky because we were really close. But
Mhm.
I,
It's just
I
a
would
different
never,
perspective.
yep. And I would just want to tell that little kid, just like, stop letting the world like make you think that who you want to be wasn't what you're supposed to be. Because like really,
Mm.
what I'm doing right now, like my YouTube stuff, like I I will never post the videos that I did as a kid. Like I had like one of those really cheap digital cameras, and I made some of the most embarrassing videos ever, like pretending I was like a newscaster. Um,
Oh my God, that's
I
amazing though.
I used to watch like The Bachelor with my mom, and I would sit there and I would pretend to be like one of those dramatic bachelorettes sitting there talking about my heart being broken. And it was so embarrassing. And I'm like, I have to like destroy those hard drives so that video never gets out there. But
You just
that
imagine you with your beard, you're just on there like, why didn't I get a rose?
someone the other day, they're like, oh my God, they should make like a gay bachelor. Everyone would watch that. And I'm like, that wouldn't work because they would all be sleeping with each other. You can't
Right.
put 12 gay guys in a house and think they're going to fight over one gay guy that's
Oh
not in
no.
the
No, it's like herding cats, like sexual, hypersexual cats.
house. It's
So
just like, it would not turn out. They would be like, oh, there was 20 marriages this time because they
yeah,
all.
everyone gets a rose. Funny.
So,
Oh, that's
but
funny.
I think that it's just very interesting to see the stuff that I was passionate as a kid and just it coming back and actually like doing it still, and now I'm just doing it better. Hopefully in
Absolutely.
the future it'll get even better.
Even easier. They'll improve those filters that much more.
Pull
But
that filter down and I look like a movie star without any shower or any coffee, just
they have
perfect.
that. It's called Face Swap or whatever, or whatever the kids say it is. I don't know. I downloaded it and I was like, what would I look like as Diane West? Diane, God, I'm the worst. But yeah.
Yeah, I did that with
That's
like Rihanna music videos. Like you take a picture of your face and they like put it on like the singer. It
yeah,
looks.
me as J Lo. It's a hot video. I look a little like Joe Pesci, but it's okay. Like, so my
You're gonna
hairline's
have to post that to your story. I have
no.
to see
No. Oh
that.
yeah. Well,
Well, I
that's
see that we made it to the end of the hour. You didn't
we
think that we were
did.
gonna be able to do it.
I know, and I'm over here. I was like, I just it's like smoked a little weed before, and I'm like, if I eat candy, and I haven't even touched my candy, so like, whatever. I'm gonna go have some Starburst now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this, and
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to seeing where you go in life because I think that the idea you have for those candles, that's amazing. I can see that growing to so much more than just what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
I definitely wish you the best of luck, and if you ever need someone to help throw some promotions out there, feel free. I love supporting my friends in anything that they're doing.
Thank you so much, and good luck to everything, and congrats again, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.